is the best time to bring up any weird and uncomfortable conversations on a podcast.
Yeah, we'll leave this one alone.
When you're recording it and then you can put it on air.
You definitely got to get some releases signed. It'd be a big PR nightmare right now. You know?
What about next time we bring a guest on? Is like, hey, before we start talking, I need you to sign these forms.
There we go. Yeah.
In case we talk about anything illegal, we want you to sign this in case we have any problems.
Here's this NDA. Just go ahead and sign it now.
Yeah. I really don't want to have to face a judge, so just go ahead and do this.
Right.
All right, greetings, everyone. Good morning. You are listening to the Zillo Boyz podcast. I am Jacob Sizemore. In front of me is Ernesto the Man Bun Gonzalez.
The Man Bun, the Jedi, the Samurai, Ernesto Gonzalez.
It's a very manly bun.
And to my left here, my homeboy is a long time coming, Mr. Ricky Woliford. My boy.
Are we just going to go ahead and knock out the fact that Ernie is convinced that when he met me that I told him that my last name was Garcia?
Oh my God!
I know I didn't do. I've never done that before.
I think you're
that
just
would be
messing
really
with
out
that,
of character.
Not only is his
but he's
name
so
actually
convinced.
in the credits of the Zillo Boyz podcast, but as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that's probably his name. And then as soon as he walked in, I was like, are you joking?
Because he was like, man, why do you keep calling me Ricky Garcia, man? And I was like, isn't that your name? He was like, no, man. I was like, you told me your name was Ricky when I first Ricky Garcia.
I mean, you were 2 beers in. You can be forgiven.
I was probably more than that night, man.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know how many beers in I was, but
it was a good night, though.
Typically, it would have been fewer beers in than you.
Absolutely. I do not argue with that. Usually I drink his beers.
That's true.
Ernesto can down him. I'm 2 beers in at like Turning Point or something, and then Ernesto's like 5 beers in. He's totally fine. I can't stand up.
It's a big, restraint I had towards beer, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I can have a tolerance for that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's one of the advantages of having Ernie around is you can pay him in beer. So you need your equipment moved off the stage or on the stage. Ernie will do it. He'll help you out. He'll have a good attitude about it, but he needs one of your drink tickets. Mm-hmm. and he's got 4 or 5 members of the band. So that's 4 or 5 drink tickets.
I feel like during like the negotiations, it's like we could pay you this amount, and then Ernie's just like, or you could buy me alcohol.
Exactly, hey, man, I'm a good mover for you guys.
Absolutely,
man.
Absolutely,
dude. And I help pick up too, man. It's worth the beer.
No, absolutely, and especially at that time, I'd say a beer was fine for me, and you normally get about 2 drink tickets, so it was an easy decision to not have to move my by myself.
And I always thought it looked cool doing it. Like, yeah, I'm part of the band.
It's a roadie.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
Right.
Oh,
all right. Anyway, so Ricky, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who created the iconic now, Zillo Boyz podcast music. The guy who did our opening tune. This man put everything together, the guitar riffs, everything. And I'll give you the credit. Every single time we have a guest on here, we play the intro, and every time we play the intro, there's like head bobbing right before.
Excellent.
Everyone loves it.
I'd love to take 100% of the credit, but I can only take about 98% because Ernie was there and was definitely helping.
I was there. I had nothing to do with it. No, man.
It was definitely a cool collaborative effort. Sitting there, just kind of getting through some ideas and playing with a bunch of sounds that were terrible at first, and then Ernie kind of good at cutting through some of the bull. So we kind of were able to narrow it down to those.
I mean, that's the creative process. You're going to have to wade through that crap at the very beginning, and then you finally end up something that's somewhat usable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Ricky just shredding that beat with that guitar, man.
Oh,
like,
it's lovely.
I've never seen him play the guitar like that live, like ever, man. Like he just let loose, man. I was like amazed, man. So yeah, that's pretty dope.
Lots of time to sit and play guitar here in quarantine.
Yeah, but honestly, to be honest, that song we came up with pretty fast. Ricky and I have been working on a song for the Warehouse Brawl 2, and we're like 4 or 5 days into this song, and it didn't sound nothing like this, man. You know, like this was actually, you know, I don't know, it sounded better to me, had a better vibe to it. So I don't know what it was, man.
You can't force it. A lot of times that stuff will just happen naturally, and when you're not feeling it and you keep trying, you can kind of hear it in what you're doing. But that's a good way to get ideas out. It's like the demo. Or not the demoing process, but like the writing process.
Yeah.
It's easier to get those ideas out when you can refer back to them in a recording rather than trying to say, oh, you know that part that's like da 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 da.
Yeah. Is that how you go about writing music? Like, how do you go about writing your music or starting with your ideas? Because I don't know. I don't write music. I've only been in marching band. That's the extent of what I know about music. I know how to read it. I know how to play the trumpet horribly, and that's pretty much all I know.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question with a question. Was it trumpet that you played in marching band?
Yes, unfortunately.
I played trumpet as well.
Oh, cool.
In junior high, and then they I don't know if it was completely honest, but they were like, your lips would be better suited for the euphonium, and it might have also been because there was one other euphonium player.
What's a euphonium? I mean, what
Euphonium is also referred to as a baritone sometimes, but it's like it looks like a giant trumpet, and the marching version does, and then the concert version it's completely different. It looks like a small tuba.
Oh, okay.
It's like you can all see what I'm doing, right? It's like a 3 foot tall, like just curvy piece of metal that weighs a ton, and you had to carry home from school every day.
Yeah.
And when you're like 5'5" most of your life.
Band. You always knew who the tuba guys were in marching band because they have to carry this giant elephant of a case on the way home. You see,
exactly. You could spot them from a couple blocks down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like driving out. Like I had a car, but I was driving past a tuba player, and he was like lugging that thing, dragging it behind him. I was like, oh man, that sucks for him. Anyway, keep driving.
Right, exactly. That was once me, so it's going to build character.
Yeah, exactly.
So were you in band in high school too?
Yeah, I did band all the way through high school, and I did marching band as well. I wanted to do drumline really bad.
Oh, wow.
And I tried out for drumline, but I didn't quite make it. And I did drumline like kind of on the side during like the summer camp that we had, which is similar to it's the band camp that you hear about in like the American Pie movies.
Oh, yeah,
it's exactly like that. It's a
like?
bunch of debauchery and terrible kids just exploring way too many things.
Awesome. Awesome.
And you have no idea how accurate
that's so
that
awesome.
is.
Right. It was.
I mean, yeah, you obviously you would.
Right. Yeah. It was yeah. Ours was at TCU, so we were staying in the TCU dorms, and yeah, it was the common areas were parties practically, which I don't know that you could get away with now.
No, probably not.
I feel like there's a lot more
Restrictions.
Oversight, and I mean even beyond it being the times of COVID, but like
just with that alone.
just in general, like a lot of that's more on people's radar. I feel like.
So when did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar.
Or is that the first instrument you played first? Is there anything else you played first?
The first instrument I ever played was violin.
Okay.
Wow.
I started playing violin. Actually, Chris Meza and I started playing violin together.
Chris Meza.
In the 5th grade, the OG roadie
Yeah,
for every band I've ever been in,
Yeah.
it was always Chris Meza.
That's right.
Man.
Yeah.
Look, this dude has a heart of gold. He's an absolute teddy bear, but he looks intimidating as hell. Like, he's got face tattoos. All his hands are covered in tattoos. Like stocky guy. Like, by all like intensive purposes, scary as hell looking. But like I said, he's just a sweetheart. When you get
funny
to know
how
him.
many guys you run across that just look like essentially the Satan version of Goliath.
Right.
And you meet them, they have like, hello, how you doing, man?
Exactly. It's a defense mechanism, I think, in some ways.
That's funny.
And actually, it's funny. He is jealous, I think, of Ernie. Because
Really?
they're both he feels like he's the equivalent, or like his like Fort Worth replacement is what he refers to as, I think. And it's
Fort Worth, buddy.
yeah. It's your Fort Worth friends. Like, dude, Ernie doesn't even live in Fort Worth, man. Like,
I love Mason, man. He's a
sweetheart.
He's my man.
I think generally speaking, every time Ernesto comes into a room, he automatically becomes everyone's favorite. We did you came on a set of our movie one time, Ace's movie, Lake House. And I remember you talking to me after that. And I was like, well, what do you think I did? And then I told you dude, everyone loves you on set. Everyone's already wanting you to come back. You were like an extra on one of the scene. Is like, can I get Ernesto? Just get an excuse to have him back on set.
I'm just really friendly, I guess.
you're a hype man.
I'm a hype man.
It's good to have around.
It is.
I mean, imagine on a film set that's a fantastic thing to have. I haven't really been on many film sets, but I know coming from a musician standpoint, having you around for a band is nice, because when Ernie walks into the show late as always, you know that he came in, and his hands are up, and you see his hands coming through the crowd to get up to the front of the stage. Dude makes an entrance, and it's missed when you're not around.
Yeah, the energy, the vibes. I don't know. I just get into it, man. These are my homies, man. I like listen to them play, man. I just get hyped up, man. That's all.
Yeah.
And I love music too.
I miss live music so much. Yeah. It's slowly coming back.
Yeah, Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Peter, for those of you who don't know, Peter Marsh, who was on our show twice recently, and you and him were in a band called Warparty, and y'all were on tours for quite a while. Why don't you explain a little bit of your process behind that, or what Warparty was, and what that meant to in your life?
It's funny, actually. Peter was in Warparty before I was. Him and Cameron. Cameron's the front man, or the head songwriter, for lack of a better term. And then we have a mutual friend. Actually, the reason that I know Ernie, it was the bass player for Warparty is Tyler.
Okay. Tyler Moore, yeah.
Tyler Moore. And they worked together. It was MG Bryant.
Yeah, we're co-workers. Really cool cat, man. Like, he's like, man, you like a show, man? You should come, check out our band. And I was like, shit, I'll come check it out, man. I would. He's my friend, man. I was like, I'm gonna check it out, man.
Ernie's not doing his voice justice.
Oh man,
Tyler's he's got like this radio voice, like. Tyler Moore, like
he's got
deep,
he's got a really deep voice though, man.
Yeah,
Tyler's like
he's done some like
he's
narrating
like
work.
5'6", but you think he's like, hey man, he's like, yeah, how's it going?
Discount Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, he's deep, man. I would have messed
a little bit more articulate than Sylvester Stallone, that old Sly,
Yeah. No, he's not like that. But I'm saying like, saying that.
But yeah, that lower register, like he's got a hearty voice.
No.
I miss having him around for recording whenever we would do like harmony and vocals and stuff like that in the band. Man. He was a really good bass note to have, like to build off of too. He didn't sing enough in the band, I'll say that.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. But because Tyler was such good friends with Ernie. Ernie would come out to shows and all that. But essentially it was the three of them, and they wanted a horn player, and they kind of wanted a second guitar. But it was, I think the bigger concern was getting a trumpet player in. And
oh, really? You came in as a trumpet player?
Right. Originally, that was what they were looking for.
Nice.
Specifically, I think the song was Problem Solver, which is one of our earlier, for lack of a better way of putting it, singles, I guess. There wasn't really singles at that point because nobody gave a shit about what we were doing. It was one of the stronger songs, I guess, that we had. And I think Cameron had an idea of what he wanted the trumpet part to be like. So he sent a recording through Peter to me, and I listened to it, and I recorded over it and added a trumpet track to it and showed it to them, and they liked it. But it was only after Peter pestered me for weeks about, and you can probably both understand this one, or lost the word I was looking for there.
We had a discussion about me being persistent this week.
Yeah. Peter was very persistent because I'm flaky as hell. So that's you guys might have experienced that a bit. And Peter was just on me every week about, hey man, get out here and jam with us sometime. It'll be fun. It won't be a big deal, no pressure. And finally he wore me down. I was like, all right, fine, I'll give it a shot. I was playing heavier music at the time. And
what band were you with? You were in?
That was Big Fiction.
That's Big Fiction.
Was it heavy metal? That kind of heavy?
Big Fiction. It was kind of like stoner metal, I think, is the genre that a lot of people use to describe just really slow, simple but heavy riffs.
That sounds really counterproductive. Not counterproductive, like counter. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
Counter something.
That doesn't make sense, and neither does that sentence.
I guess there's a bit of an oxymoron, I guess, in a sense, of slow metal. Because whenever you hear metal, you associate quick. Fast guitar riffs and stuff like that. And there was a little bit of that intertwined there, but for the most part, it was just really heavy, driving kind of music. I think it was almost like dumber Queens of the Stone Age is I think what we were going for. And we did a Queens of the Stone Age cover as well as Fugazi covers and some other stuff
nice.
to kind of get an idea of the type of music that was. But yeah, I was, at a point in my life where I was getting older too. I was like, I'm a little less pissed off than I was, and maybe I could play some music that's more suited to my skill set.
Yeah.
Because I could play bass loud and fast and distorted really well, but I can sing and I could play guitar and I could play trumpet and I could, I'm a multi-instrumentalist, so I was feeling like, here's an opportunity to do a little bit more. So once they liked that demo, I came on and I had to put together a guitar rig again and started practicing with the guys at a place in Arlington called Dream World. It's
Is that the
Fancy.
practice place? Is that now?
the fabled Dream World is no longer in existence, but it was this practice space in Arlington that a lot of us, anybody that played music in Arlington, pretty much had a space there or played a show there or a battle of the bands.
Is that the one
there.
we went to last time, or no? Or that's a different
No,
one?
this one's been. They bought it like probably like 10 years ago.
Okay.
But it's off a Division in Arlington.
Okay.
Like right past like Bowen. There's a big section of Division that doesn't have like a major intersection. But it's west of Bowen on Division. But it was like this big warehouse that had like a $20,000 sound system in it, and then a bunch of these small rooms attached to the back that were all like half-ass soundproofed.
Right.
So as long as the band next door to you wasn't practicing, it wasn't too loud. But if they were, you basically were having to compete. And we were not going to be beaten in that ever. We had a wall of amplifiers set up. It was just completely ridiculous. My back still hurts from the 20 years ago of moving that crap.
Hey, that stuff is heavy, man.
It really is. It's no joke, man.
And luckily, a lot of stuff you guys have has wheels.
Yeah, that makes it a lot
still
easier.
Get it up on. Oh man, yeah. That's why.
It's not fun.
When I say a drink ticket's cheap,
exactly, it really is, man. We'd have to pay somebody a couple $100 to be a roadie.
I just do it for beer, man.
Yeah, and hopefully you still will, because
I'm so glad. What was I say? And
we still don't have a budget.
You were the trumpet player. So when you start playing guitar for them, man?
Pretty much right as I started playing trumpet, they were like, well, let's, we don't need trumpet for every single song. So on some of the songs you're not playing trumpet, if you wanted to, play second guitar or maybe some leads. And I can't even remember her name now. A friend of ours that listened to us came up and told me, like, hey, like years after, or maybe a year or two after I joined the band, it was like, hey, you finally sound like you're in the band.
Yeah.
Before it sounded like you were just playing guitar over a band.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man.
See, I didn't know the difference. I just heard a band.
That's a little punch to the gut. Thanks a
It
lot.
was this real backhanded compliment, but like when...
Who's
I can't remember. I do remember. Her name is Alexa.
Oh, okay.
A sweet person to me,
Yeah.
for the most part. Didn't get along with my ex. And
Oh.
that was a whole thing.
Yep.
At any rate, yeah, she. I remember just getting that compliment and being like, "It feels good now."
Yeah.
That sucks. I didn't realize I sounded bad. That
kind of
whole
a
time.
realization, like, well, good to know that I sucked back then. So
Right.
I appreciate you letting me know that.
Dude, you guys won best punk band by the Fort Worth Star Telegram like one year, didn't you?
I think we did it a couple times.
Yeah,
Nice.
they were some pretty
Y'all
good,
legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple of those things, and we've been on the cover of Fort Worth Weekly a couple times. I mean, I wouldn't call that like these major accomplishments, and I'm not being humble. It really isn't this major thing. But it is nice to know that you're appreciated in your hometown, and
For
at least
listeners like me, that's a pretty big accomplishment. I think the last show that y'all went to, I saw. I don't remember what was the bar.
Mass.
Yeah, Mass. I went in there and like saw several posters that say War Party on it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, that was actually that I will say it's not a watershed moment, but it was a cool moment to walk into Mass and see, like, the first time to see one of our posters that big. It was like, I know you can just take this to Kinko's and make it that big. It's not a major thing, but it's framed and it's drilled into the wall, which means nobody can pull it down. So like, there's some like
permanently and forever will I be engraved into this wall.
Exactly. And then to be on there multiple times feels really cool. But we were a band in Fort Worth for about a decade, and we got to do quite a few things that at least didn't like bring us any like major notoriety or anything, but definitely gave us some clout, for lack of a better way of putting it. I mean, my landlord came into my house to help me rekey my locks a little while back and saw the Fortress Fest poster that we had. Actually, yeah, that Fortress Fest poster right there.
Yep.
And
thankfully the camera can see that. It can't.
oh yeah, can it? Can it not?
Not at all. Not
Okay,
in any
great.
way.
Well, you guys can see us all point. There's a poster over here.
Yeah, you can. And now you've moved my camera, and now it's just looking at me weird.
Oh man,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just leave it there. It's fine. No. It's fine. It's fine.
Anyway,
you don't look like you
Giving you the
trust
eye. I
him.
don't know if I trust Ernesto.
okay, you want to check it out? Here.
I do want to go check it out. You explain. I'll go check it out.
Well, I got it anyway. So
No. You're here. You're here. Okay. Like, just keep going.
This is the poster at Fortress Fest.
This is so well put together.
Man, honestly, man, you like you said, you didn't have a lot of. You don't have a lot of big accomplishments. Every big show I've ever been to in DFW, you have played at it, man.
That's cool.
You know, honestly, not just War Party, but Bummer Vacation and Joe Gorgeous, like they played Fortress Fest. They played the Modern Art Museum was a bad show.
That
man.
was a really cool show.
Oh my god, that was an awesome show.
Yeah.
And then my boss the other day, kind of my boss, he's like, "Yeah, man, I like going to shows that shipping and receiving." I was like, "Man, my boy used to play that like every other weekend."
Yeah,
man.
we used to play that a lot. Yeah.
No, that's a really nice joint, man. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fortress Fest was definitely, I'd say, like the peak of what we got to do. I mean, it's sort of, I really feel like the Day Trotter stuff, although it wasn't like an attended event, it was a live stream, but it had quite a few views, at least for us, and that was like, that felt like one of the more legitimate things we've gotten to do, and I got to do that 3 times, which is like
nice.
Awesome. I got to do it with Bummer Vacation, which Bummer Vacation did it in, I believe, Rock Island, which is like...
I remember y'all played Barcadia in Fort Worth. That was a really good show too, man. I mean, the show was good. Nothing happened afterwards, but the show itself was bad.
The show was great.
I think that was the face of like,
don't go too far. That was a drama night. We're not gonna talk about that. But
that's literally what was referenced at the beginning of the show.
The show was awesome though.
Yeah, the show was fantastic. I had a great time. Every show I ever played at Barcadia was great. Nice. That one was on 4th of July, and the problem was that the bar was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna be able to pay you in anything but Jameson."
Oh man, you got like 4 bottles.
They gave us yeah, I think they gave us each a bottle of whatever we wanted, and I think it ended up just being Jameson.
And y'all got Jameson.
Oh my god, man!
I got so drunk that night, man.
I don't, honestly, this story could be that we each got a bottle of Jameson, or there was one bottle and it still would have had the same effect. I don't remember what,
because you guys were just passing around everybody, man. In the group.
Yeah, that was wild. Also, there was free hot dogs.
I didn't get a hot dog.
Yeah, that's where.
But I do remember his wedding day. We were passing the bottle of Jameson around that day, and the grooms in the.
Oh yeah. Passing around a couple things. Could have gotten in trouble for.
but all the shows that you've been to have been pretty awesome, man. You even played what you call it in Dallas. Brain fart, man. The music place in Dallas. Oh god.
There's a couple.
Like the main spot where everybody goes. Like, what do you say? The
3 Links.
Not 3 Links.
We used to play 3 Links a lot.
Section.
Oh, Deep Ellum.
Deep Ellum. I got a brain fart, man. What the hell? Yeah, Deep Ellum, man. Like,
now you're 4 beers in. There's your excuse there.
You guys played Deep Ellum a lot, you know.
Yeah, we definitely got to play Deep Ellum quite a bit. But I mean, again, I think Fortress Fest is probably the highlight for us, just because of the artists that were on it.
Oh man, yeah.
Like getting to play. I mean, it's weird knowing that like Leon Bridges opened for Bummer Vacation at the warehouse, like on, I think it was a Valentine's Day show.
Leon Bridges.
Leon showed up and was like, "Hey, can I play some songs tonight?" And we were like, "Yeah, that's fine. You can open." He was
nobody.
He wasn't anybody yet.
Yeah.
He was washing dishes, and like hanging out and playing on shows that we had openings on, and just a cool. So
y'all
dude
got to be part of that
with.
origin. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he then like one winter. He showed up at the chat room. It was like, "Hey, not really talking about it, but sold a couple songs to Columbia." And we were like, "What?" And then I think it was a year almost to the date after that he ended up. We were at the chat room again, that bar, watching him on TV. It's like the first time he was on TV, and we're just like, "Oh,
how many years
crazy.
ago was that?"
Oh man, because Fortress Fest was like 2019, yeah.
That and that's after he would have blown up already.
Yeah.
So this would have been probably. Damn, man, I don't know, 2014, 2015,
okay,
maybe even. I know I started at Apple in 2009.
It was before that. Did you work at Apple too?
No, I started working at Apple, and that's when I joined War Party.
Oh, okay.
So War Party existed for a couple of years. Yeah, this timeline's all screwed up. I could probably look at my Instagram and find the answer for you.
Right.
But no, Leon was opening for us, and then it was like just a year and like a couple months, and then a year, and he had completely blown up. I remember going to a friend's wedding. No, I will find a date.
Was really good here. Too, man.
Yeah, but like I remember, I was flying to the UK to a wedding, and there was a video on the in-flight options that you could watch. That was a documentary about Leon Bridges, and I was like,
that concert was so crazy.
What is happening right now?
Now, I remember we were sitting in the VIP bar up there in the VIP section, and we're sitting at the one table, and then where's the rapper's name? What's his name? Ed Sherman, Ray Shremmerd. His entourage was sitting like 2 tables over, man. They had a pile of weed, like this huge pile of weed, dude, and like 3 guys in the entourage were just rolling blunts, and there's like 2 cops next to him, like with vests and guns, and I'm just like. And
nothing's happening.
No, yeah, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? You want to come help?" I'm like, "Nah, man,
what?
I'm cool."
In front of them?
No, yeah, I was like, "I'm cool." Ricky's like, hey,
wow.
Ricky's like, "Yeah, go do that."
Yeah, dude, come on, man.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh, it was so.
Ray
crazy.
Shremmerd's
That entire room I'm sure
But it was
filled
like the
with
cops
tension
were like,
filled.
they were like just, and they're lighting up, and the cop was just like,
I'm not here to do anything about this.
So
I'm like,
weird.
oh my god.
All of this being in Fort Worth of all places, like within like 10 feet of the convention center, just felt bizarre. Because that's normally you'd get arrested for drinking and walking down the street around there.
That was so cool.
To give you an idea, that Ray Schwemmerd's the group that does like Somebody Come Get Her and Black Beatles and a couple of other songs you probably won't know because you're not a big rap fan.
Not a huge rap fan, gotta say.
Right, but that's their big.
I didn't even know who he was, man. Don't feel bad, dude. I'm not. Yeah.
A lot of the artists that are on this festival ended up.
That one Scottish band with the woman lead singer. I forgot what the name of it. Whatever, but they were awesome,
Well,
man.
Bobby Sessions won a Grammy the other day.
I think it's Tanashi was the name. That was the name.
Yeah.
Or Krabberbergen or whatever. But it was like a Icelandic or something, Norwegian like heavy metal band, and the lead singer was a woman. And she rocked, dude.
Yeah,
It was a good show, man.
And then the year before that was the year that we played Fortress Fest with Andy Pickett.
Oh, I didn't know you guys played 2 years in a row.
Yes, Andy Pickett basically put out his record and didn't have a band. He built like a band. I don't know if you're familiar with White Denim is the name of the band, but they produced his record and they basically did all the instrumentation and everything for him. They've gotten pretty big. They've got some popular songs.
Okay.
That great band, worth checking out. Check it out on Spotify. But beyond that, like whenever he got out and was trying to get this record trying to get some attention for it, playing some shows, like not really touring, but just trying to play some shows locally on it, he reached out to us to be his band. So it wasn't really the Andy Pickett band yet that kind of came to be.
So
it was Andy Pickett with War Party.
So it was Tyler, you,
Right.
Cameron, and Peter?
Yeah.
And Chris?
Nice.
Exactly. The
What?
same lineup, like all of us on the instruments that we
know
play.
that, man.
And that's what I was telling you whenever you were saying that you'd never heard me play guitar like that. There's some songs where I got to like do some crazy solo stuff on these Andy Pickett songs, and it was a lot of fun, but it was a collaborative thing. They weren't Andy's songs the way he wanted them to sound. They were us playing them and jamming them together. They were almost alternate versions. So whenever he decided to have a band playing his music, he picked a lot of us.
Yeah.
But he also picked some other musicians that he had up
that's
his
cool.
sleeve from his history.
I mean, I'm not saying I've never heard you shred, man. I've heard you shred before, man. I've just never seen it's been in the format of a song.
Right.
You know,
Not just off the
it's
fly.
never been like on the. I mean, I've heard you play before live. You know, we were just messing around, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That night you were just feeling it, dog. I don't know what it was, man. Because you just got that new guitar too.
Yeah, that was
and it
that's
really,
a huge motivator for
it
me.
sounded so good. Yeah,
I'm very into material possessions.
But I mean, as a musician, if you're gonna record music, you gotta have good stuff.
You have to
man.
have the right
Yeah,
tools.
you know,
It makes
so-
a big difference to have the right tools.
It's strange how really relaxed I see you in real life, because I don't know you as well as Ernesto. I've just kind of met you.
Yeah, I would say for the most part.
Yeah, and I've kind of just seen you in passing. Like, I know that that's Ricky, but I don't. That's pretty much all I know about him.
I gotcha.
And all I've seen from you is you're a pretty relaxed and chill guy. I don't think I've heard you go above like an octave with your voice. Like, pretty much talk about this for the majority of the time I've seen you. And then I saw you rock and roll on the drums on the last concert that I saw you in.
Right,
and it's a
right.
completely different person.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like. Funny enough, I was talking to Cameron about this at Dreamy Life when I got records before I got here. But we were talking about John Mulaney.
Yeah.
And John Mulaney's talking about how like he's got almost a character when he's on stage, or like this different persona that exists when he's on stage. And I feel that way too. Like there's a lot of excitement and anxiety. Not negative anxiety necessarily, sometimes, but just feeling anxious
There's
in
definitely
general.
an adrenaline rush. I mean,
Exactly.
you're used to it by now, but getting up
Kinda.
on stage in front of a lot of people is still going to be like a spike of adrenaline. Like,
Right,
all right.
always. And that particular show was surprising because with these COVID times. I was already uncomfortable playing it. But I knew, I'll take my precautions. We'll do what I need to do. And I didn't expect that many people to show up. But then people kept coming in. Man. Yeah, I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Peter was saying, like, before the show, like, there's not going to be a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And the place was packed. People were, like, standing because you couldn't find any tables to sit in.
Yeah,
people were
wild.
Just ready to listen to music again.
That's what it was, man. And that you can't not feed off. That was a weird sentence. You'll always feed off of that energy. Yeah. So it was definitely a good time, and just playing drums is already such a visceral thing. Like to be able to do it and know everybody's feeling it and all doing it together in a way, like seeing people bob their heads, like we're talking about earlier,
mm-hmm.
like it's a thing that like you can feel that your rhythm is causing that, and it's like this cool. I think a lot of times musicians refer to it as feel. You get this feel from each other, and sometimes it's different with the audience than it is with other musicians. But with the audience, like you can feel kind of the levels of and kind of the response that you're getting, and you can kind of tailor your set to it if you're smart.
Yeah.
You don't just decide, all right, we're playing these songs in this order no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever everyone's kind of getting bored with what you're playing, it's all right, we need to change it up, or you kind of adapt yourself to that, and you do that with your musicians in your band too. That's why you like these jam bands that you see, like for lack of a better example, Grateful Dead. They're a band that like has this cult following because these dudes have played music with each other for so long, it's second nature, and they know when someone's gonna change.
Yeah.
And they all just change together, and it's this weird like sixth sense that you get with musicians. Peter and I have it to a degree because we work together and we play music together, that like there's some stuff that happens at work, like I won't even ask him a question, he'll just know and he'll do it, and it gets like he'll walk in and I already have his coffee, like I hand it to him as he's walking through the door sometimes.
He's like, thanks, babe.
Right? And he goes to get my lunch normally, and he comes, and I don't tell him what I want half the time. He knows.
How'd you know I wanted this?
Exactly. He already knows my order to a T. Like, it's ridiculous.
I really hope Peter's girlfriend's not watching this.
No, and she's supportive as hell of it. Yeah. I went and had a drink with both of them actually a couple nights ago, and it was good to see her. I haven't seen Steph in a minute.
She's awesome, man.
She's incredibly
Steph,
positive
be on our
person.
show.
Yeah.
She would be a fantastic person to have.
Oh, she would be great.
She's a not only just a super positive person, but she's really intelligent
and a really dope freaking designer, man.
Yeah, and she only talks about stuff she knows about.
Yeah.
So like she can really school you on some of this like fashion branding and a lot of that kind of stuff that I didn't ever find interesting before, but it's fascinating when she's telling you it.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, like, I don't know. She's just really good at getting you like amped whenever. She's kind of like you. Like her excitement rubs off on you, and you're just like, all right, yeah. Wait, why am I excited about a bag that's modeled after an anime I've never seen or like know about? Like, how did you do that?
Someone who's actually passionate about some certain thing that you would not care about otherwise, and you hear this person talk about it, and you're fascinated.
Yeah,
you're just sitting back and you're like, I do agree with that. I do agree
because you see it like how she sees it, man. It's like it's just like she sees it a different way than we see it, and when she shows us, how like. Dude, like that makes sense. Like how him and music, man. I don't know what he's doing, but he tells me this is how it goes and this is what it means. I'm like, oh, that's more deeper. That's you
can get Ernie hyped though, like playing. Like there are times where like we're writing, I gotta like stop playing guitar because he's tapping me on the shoulder so hard. Because he's that excited.
Throughout that, it's like, listen to the music that we're playing.
I'm like, dude, you look at.
It's like, dude, I can't play. You're shaking my whole body.
Yes.
But that's another one of those things. Like when people are in the room that have that energy and give off that energy, like you just bounce it back. And if somebody's in the room that doesn't want to be there and is not wanting to write or doesn't want to be in the band anymore or things like that, like that negativity feeds just as quickly. So it's important to pick and choose who you have around you, especially in any kind of like responsibility role or any role of responsibility. Like
there is a band that I worked for called Left Arm Tan. They're like an indie country band. They're really, really, really good.
I've heard that name before.
They're like I'm going to show you some of their music afterwards because they're really solid. But I have never been. I've worked with them for a few years now, and I recorded a few of their concerts to start to begin with. But then one day they wanted to record a version of Run Run Rudolph for one of their Christmas specials thing.
Run,
and like the lead singer Brian came in the room. Apparently, he didn't even know the lyrics to the song,
Right.
and half of them I didn't even know that they were going to be recording a Christmas song or Run Run Rudolph.
Oh,
but
man.
all of them know each other so well. They work with each other so well, and they're able to bounce off. Like they didn't even practice until that day, but they're able to work with each other so well
Yeah.
that they came up with a version of the song that night.
Nice.
And they made it, and it was a great version of Run Run Rudolph. Probably my favorite. I'm not even being biased. I just love their
Right.
version of the song.
That's cool.
But that was my first time seeing how people who are in that type band, when everyone is actually clicking and everyone gets along and everyone has the same energy,
Right.
all click at once. So I assume, like you say, you and Peter kind of have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the things that, like, you know, I've always tried to pull him in on projects that I work on, even outside of War Party, because I know not only is he gonna be just right in line with what I'm thinking most of the time, but he's just incredibly good at taking direction. For lack of a better way of putting it, like, not trying to tell him what to do, but when I ask him like his opinion on something, I know that he's going to give me his honest opinion, and that he's going to be the best person to tell to do something because he's going to listen to all the parts of it because he's a meticulous person. So like having him in the studio is infinitely helpful. He's like always a handy guy to have. Plus he can play music, so it's just like, all right, great, Swiss Army knife, you know. So he's definitely a person I like to have around for that. Even just recently. We've been doing some stuff with Andy Pickett. We've been recording a couple songs.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, a good friend of ours passed away last year. He's a Fort Worth artist that a lot of people know. His name is Jeremy Joel.
Oh, you're telling me about that guy. You're telling me about that.
Yeah. Jeremy's like just everyone that met that guy remembers him for one reason or another. He's an incredible person, a father, and just a brilliant soul in general. But he and Andy were really close, and they wrote a song together, and Andy also wrote a song about him, and we decided to retrack one of the songs that had been recorded before, but it's not really available online any longer, and we decided to finish writing the song that they wrote together. And since him and I had a pretty close relationship, and I'm pretty close with Andy, it was kind of natural for us to all to decide to work on it together. And that's what I've been doing lately. And having Pete come into the studio and help me do that was really helpful because, again, like having him behind the board whenever I had to do vocals, it was really helpful knowing that he knew what he was doing and able to, keep the process moving forward. But it's again one of those situations with Andy and with Peter, and we also had Katie and Cameron and a couple other people that were in the studio with us, and Ray, who's like this just brilliant multi-instrumentalist as well. It's having them all in there, all feeling the same way and all feeling nostalgic about memories we had of this guy that was so significant in all of our lives and so significant in Fort Worth, just music. Culture and music and art. He had. NPR was running a story about him where he had his own gallery at Fort Works Art over there, like right across from the Dickies Arena.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he was getting some real hype around his work when he passed away. So it was super tragic but very unexpected. And it's been a good way for all of us to process the feelings together. While still putting something out that I think is beautiful and also is so specifically him. All the people that know him will feel that, and we're also planning on having his kids actually come in and do some stuff on the track as well.
That's super sweet.
So yeah, it's gonna be a really cool thing. I'm really excited to have that and that come out and have everybody in Fort Worth have something that'll help us all heal a little bit.
We're fine.
Okay.
Battery.
No, we gotta watch the cameras in case they click off, man.
No,
They can kill themselves.
I don't
any
pay
second.
attention. I was like, oh, hey, the camera's off.
It's like your kids. You got to watch them.
Right.
Well, that's cool, man. I got together to make some music with your homeboy, man. As a way to help you cope and not cope, but mend and you know come together.
It's also weird because like I've just there's a lot of significant differences in this project than anything I've ever worked on. Like a lot of, for lack of a better way of putting it, like legitimacy that I've never had to navigate before. Like Andy is signed to a major label. He's signed to Light in the Attic Records, which carries like Built to Spill, Rocky Erickson, who was the the lead man for the 13th Floor Elevators, which are like a huge 60s psych band. Like,
wow.
That a lot of people know. But yeah, like having to navigate, like knowing that we can't just put his name on something without getting some sort of contractual like things sorted out.
You might
and then
have to sign a form for this show.
as long as we don't play his music, I think we're good.
Right.
And
You
then
inspired us to make documents.
and then we got Jeremy's artwork is involved, and
he was a
yeah, he was I mean, at this point, he definitely a locally famous artist. So like using any of his artwork, that has to have some sort of release associated with it if we're putting it in any kind of
Did he ever do any
digital format.
Any of you got Warparty's covers?
Yes.
He did that one cover, right?
We had a tour CD that was we only pressed like I think 50 of them or something like that, and they were all screen printed by hand. And Jeremy came over and we all did them by hand together.
What?
I don't want to take credit. I don't think I was actually there that night. I think it was all over at Cameron's house. They did it right before the tour. But yeah, he did that. He also did Much Polite was a single that we had there towards the end, and he had artwork.
Did he do the one with the teepee? Who did the teepee one? That was my favorite one.
The teepee one.
I stole a lot of teepee cassettes, man.
Oh no, I don't remember who did that one. That was earlier. Actually, I think Peter might have done that one.
Oh yeah. It was a cool cover, man.
Yeah, it might have been. You're talking about that sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he might have done. That might have been Peter. If it's somebody else, I hope they hear this and they correct me.
Hey, not only would I load the equipment, I'd sell some merch too, man.
Yeah, you could, man.
I would sell some merch. I don't know. I don't know.
You could definitely get some. Selling tapes to people without tape players is not easy, but Ernie definitely did it a couple times.
I'm like, hey man, they'll say, hey, you just watch the merch tape. I'm like, okay, I'll just stand here. And next, some people come up, I'll talk to them, and then I'll sell them some things. And so, like, hey man, I just made like $50, man, like in 20 minutes, dude.
You could sell blades of grass. You can make that sound interesting.
The last time you guys played in Debellum, it was you guys in Acid Carousel.
Yeah.
You set up your stuff right next to Acid Carousel. I was selling their stuff too because no one was there.
Yeah.
I was standing at your guys' spot and I started like, hey, they're not here. I was like, well, we like to buy some of their stuff. And next thing you know, I'm selling their shirts and I'm selling all shirts. And dude, I'm like, whatever, man. I was like,
that is one thing that's very underrated or underappreciated in the DIY music scene is the merch guy or the merch girl, like the merch person. Like having somebody that's willing to stand at that table while everybody else is having a good time or watching a show or drinking. Like
hey, that's
not a fun role. Man, you more than earned that. I still owe you beer tickets, I guess.
No, it was so much fun, man. I don't know. I just got into it, man. I don't know. I just
hopefully it'll probably never be the way that it was.
Yeah, and it was like this old like 1960s like zoo case.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, one of the... What'd you just do? What happened?
I'm cueing you.
Oh, okay.
It's for editing later. Trust me, it's fine.
Well, anyways, I want to talk about like one of the baddest performances I've seen Ricky. But I've seen a bunch of him play a bunch of dope performances, man. But he doesn't really do a lot of covers, man. And one night he did a cover of Prince. What was his Kiss? Was it?
Kiss by
Kiss
Prince.
by Prince. I remember we were hanging out at his house pre-gaming, and he's like on his phone, man. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Oh man, I'm trying to learn a song. I was like, for what? He goes, I'm playing this song tonight. I'm like,
what?
I was like, have you played it? He goes, no, I'm not. I'm playing. He doesn't practice the song at all. He's reading the lyrics and the music on his phone, and he plays it that night, and he like jams it, dude. Oh man,
that seems rather casual. Hey, I need to learn a song tonight. Perform in front of people.
No, because Prince is hard to cover. Because Prince, you have to have a lot of soul in your voice. He sings a lot of soul, man.
Exactly. That's why I'm pointing it out.
And to my man right here, I was like, Jasmine, oh my God, dude, is he really
some
playing
talent,
this?
my guy.
Dude,
you sang it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's available online, and you can definitely
go ahead and tell them where you can find it.
Man, I'll have to find the link. We'll include it on the comments underneath the YouTube.
Okay, well, we will include the link down below in the comments. But it was, look at that
right here.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at any camera.
I was. I think we're looking at
the worst guest.
Maybe I think like a neon sign with an arrow pointing down, like look.
But
here.
yeah, but that was an awesome. Like I said, many performances I've seen you play, but that was something original.
That was wild. It was the day that Prince passed away.
Oh, that's right. Huh?
We all got together that night, and we. It was I think the night that you're talking about was right after that because we played.
It was like one of their festivals where they had the swimming pool. They blew the swimming pool up.
It was before. It was before a group therapy.
Yeah.
But Prince had passed away right before that. I want to say.
Wow. No pressure.
Right. And we got into the studio that night and decided to do a cover of Kiss. So we had a bunch of our friends come out, like a bunch of different musicians. Man, right now I'm feeling because I can't remember who all was there that night, but I know Jeremy Joel, who we were talking about earlier, was there. He did the artwork for it, which was his basically like a painting, or I think it was a watercolor painting that he did of Prince with the third eye, and that was the cover art for it. Yeah. But yeah, we did. My friend Justin, who moved to Colorado and has pretty much disappeared, came out and played guitar, and he's crazy good. And we had a couple other guys. I know Stephanie and Cameron were there. Like they helped do like the backup vocals and stuff. And I remember like them dancing in that window. That big window you could see like him and Stephanie dancing together doing the backup vocals was so great. Like it was a cool moment because we were all there, kind of mourning a genius. Yeah. But we were still, we're doing our best to pay homage, and like
good show, man.
It was so much pressure to do those vocals right, man, because it's like his registers. Yeah,
I mean, I was like, and you were playing the guitar, and you were like dancing while you were playing. I was like, that's what feeling it, man. I was like, he's feeling it. So
that's what I was trying to learn that night. That night that we recorded it, I went in and just recorded the vocals, and I did a little bit of guitar work. I can't remember what else I did, but the night that we were performing it, I had to play guitar on it. So I had sang it before, but I'd never sang and played guitar at the same time, and that's what I was trying to figure out how to do because it was a little bit trickier. But yeah, once I got that kind of sorted out, you showed up and caught me like trying to make sure I didn't have any of the lyrics. But yeah, and when we performed it came out pretty well.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We didn't do a lot of covers that we did frequently. Yeah. But we did a couple of cover sets.
Okay.
There was something for a while called the Fort Worth Weekly Rock Assembly.
Oh.
Yeah. And you basically would have. It started to get completely outrageous and ridiculous, and it started getting to a point where it was just overblown. But it was like a bunch of local bands playing as a band and just covering multiple songs by them, and then doing a couple of originals in the middle, and then that was it. So I know one year we did the Kinks, one year we did Velvet Underground. I can't remember what other cover sets we did, but yeah, it was basically having to sit there and learn a bunch of songs by a band, and it was, I think pretty soon into it, we were just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore because it's a lot of work to play somebody else's music, and if we're gonna put this much effort into what we're doing, play your own. Exactly, should be writing our own stuff. We haven't put an album out, like, but yeah, that's still a fun thing to do, and as I've matured as a musician, I've started to realize more that covers help you flex a little bit, like help you like work that muscle out, and force you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, because I can write the same 20 songs and it would feel
repetitive,
right, or it would still, they'd probably all sound very similar because I'd be in that same mindset. But whenever you force yourself to write music or play somebody else's music, it puts you in a different, you have to look at it differently.
And I think it definitely helps if you don't want to like stay in one spot forever and get super comfortable.
I'll say I was a better guitar player as a result of learning the Kinks songs, because I was like, oh crap, this is harder than I thought. And then realized, it taught me a lot of things about music production too, about how like you can add an acoustic guitar to a track that's all electric instruments to give you this weird texture that's like sitting in the mix that you can't accomplish any other way. It's cool little things you learn whenever you're trying to recreate somebody's sound. Like Prince used a Linn drum machine for a lot of his work, and you can get samples of that drum machine and make it sound exactly like Prince, but without it, like it doesn't have that same characteristic. It's pretty interesting, like the weird little signatures that people have.
Like the DNA of the song, probably. Yeah.
Or even like there's producers that have signatures. Like one of the really popular ones, Pharrell. Like for the Neptunes and stuff, like his like production signature or whatever is like the 4-beat intro. And if you go back and listen to all the songs that he's produced, like a lot of the ones are not his. Like I'm drawing blanks on a lot of his songs right now. Like Drop It Like It's Hot. It's like if you listen to the song, it's 4 beats and then the song starts. And it's a signature he works into a lot of his stuff, so you can tell that he's the producer on it without even knowing.
Well, I mean, not only did you make our song for our intro, but you actually working trying to do producing now. How is that different from being an artist?
I've stepped more into a producing role in the last year with with COVID stuff, but also going through a divorce. kind of put me in a position where I wasn't feeling as creative and was kind of trying to deal with my own mental health and just that kind of, heavier stuff. So it was easier for me. And I've always been more of a collaborative artist anyway. I get really in my head about writing my own music up until really recently. And I found music production to be really cathartic for me. It was a situation where I could take somebody's thing that already exists and kind of work with it and kind of change it a little bit and chisel away at it and add to it. And it's a lot of fun. I've been working with an artist in Fort Worth named Mac, who's Mac Probst. He's actually the keyboard player for the band that you saw, Sir Duda.
Really? Okay.
Mac has another project called Summer Job where he's a rapper and he does like his own beats and stuff, and he's great. Like he's really good at what he does, and I don't know why he's working with me, but yeah, he's been coming over.
Don't downplay yourself. And I've seen you work. You're really good.
He's like just him and I connected on a level with music. We found that we listen to a lot of the same music that a lot of people we are friends with don't like.
Perfect.
Like, for instance, and I know he's a very, very polarizing artist, but both Mac and I are huge Kanye West fans. So, like, the fact that we can talk about it at all without, like, having to have an argument is nice. But it's funny because of that, he's looked at other stuff that I've listened to, and I've looked at his music taste, and we found that we're so aligned on a lot of that our production styles are similar because we're looking towards the same influences.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can work with him really well on stuff that I think sounds cool, and he just thinks it sounds cool too.
Yeah.
It's not me trying to impress him. It's just me being like, hey, here's what I think sounds nice. He's like, yeah, man, that's great.
Of course.
Right. Or the other way around. He'll show me a track, and I'm like, that's awesome. I don't need to do anything to this. But
it makes it easier.
Right.
Easier.
And I'll do a lot of mixing.
Yeah.
I've done that on the side as well, and that's really the stage that we're in with Andy's stuff.
Yeah, I think for our song, we're gonna have to go back to basics, man. I gotta just start over again. We're gonna.
You mean for the battle?
Yeah,
one? Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah,
that was us.
Trying too hard.
Absolutely,
we're trying too hard, man.
It's a thing that you don't know until you do it.
Right.
And then when you listen to it after the fact, when you've removed yourself from it, then you can see what it is. Your ears get tired, and you find that out as a producer. You find that out as a musician. You find that out as a music fan. That your ears can get tired. There's a reason there's a category of music called easy listening. Like
It's easy listening.
it's easy to listen to. It doesn't challenge your ear. It doesn't challenge your mind. But writing music doesn't always need to.
No.
That's something. Yeah, I don't want to get too far into it. I don't want, get to some sort of point to wrap up here. But something we've discussed this week a little bit more is the ability to pick and choose what you're putting in a song.
Yeah.
And how that can be, you can flex and you can put all your effort into it and make it sound this big thing. But what's important is being able to know what to strip away and to only allow the things that need to be in a song.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying make it overpowering or just, make it crowded. I'm talking about make it simple but still make it powerful.
Right.
In its own way. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't like texting like that, man, because you don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying normally. So in text, it's even
me.
worse.
You disagree with me. Just
in text, it's just like there's no tone at all. So it's just like, yeah, Ernie's being aggressive right now.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming out and talking with us, man. Thanks so much.
We'll
had a great time. My man. Love you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, you're a really great musician. I've seen your work.
it.
I've seen you live. You're a great musician. Obviously, you made our music. Great music. And that's going to be it for the Zillo Boyz podcast today. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Subscribe, link and notifications, all that garbage. And we will link Peter's thing that we talked about that I'm forgetting about down below in the comments. All right, Ernesto. Anything else to say?
No, man. Thanks for coming, brother. Roll his music.